is iRacing. Well, street tracks are meant to be treacherous. As Gilles Villeneuve last week was a street track, now we come to what people call the Monaco of iRacing. It is one of the toughest challenges in street racing on the sim. Welcome to Long Beach for round 8 of the GP Tour, brought to you by the Global SimRacing Channel. As we see the Motegi sign in the hairpin, I am Craig King. I'm pleased to announce that to myself. Alex Goldsmith is my commentator, alongside me with Christian Deploy, our director, using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. In the past, this track actually was an F1 round, but to mimic what we need around those famous streets of Monaco, we come to this track. To find out more about this legendary track in America, let's head to the GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Long Beach. Nestled into the south side of Los Angeles and running alongside the Pacific Ocean, this street circuit has made the port area world famous. Both Formula One and IndyCar have called this 2-mile, 11-turn circuit home. Winning here has become a prestige worth boasting about among open-wheel pilots. Indeed, the winners list includes the likes of Lauda, Andretti, Unser, Montoya, Power, and many other legendary names in racing. Much like its European sister over in Monaco, it's short, tight, and punishing. But unlike Monte Carlo, this circuit emerged from a rundown piece of California coast to grow into the glamorous location it is today. Down into Turn 1 at the end of Shoreline Drive is where the majority of overtakes tend to be made. But sneaky passes can also pop up in places like 6 on the way into Pine Avenue, or Turn 9 at the end of Seaside Way. There's also 2 distinctive landmarks notorious for causing track blockages. The fountain section, with all its beauty, is a single-file affair save for the first lap. And the hairpin has been a staple here, even though it's changed locations a few times. In fact, that last hairpin not only includes the dangers of getting tangled with another car, but the important nature of getting the best exit you can to keep your rival from having a chance to pass you into the first corner. It feels appropriate that California's signature street track is a hop, skip, and a jump away from the beach. But while others might be trying to attack the surf, our drivers today will be attacking the corners instead.
Well, we just got to saw the track map there. Alex, I love this track, but in open wheelers, I don't think the drivers are going to enjoy it tonight.
It's going to be difficult going even side by side too wide into Toyota. And then you got, the back part of it going through Tech 8 turn, that very, very tight left-hander at turn 6 up Pine Avenue. And then, of course, you've got to think about the DRS activation zones here as well, Craig, because we are, of course, running the Mercedes F1 W13 car. It is going to be tight, it is going to be tricky, and it's going to be a hell of a lot of laps. 83, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, we want to have our own version of the toughest street track in the world of Monaco, and that's what we're going to do around here. To different areas of the world, but it can be very interesting at all. What is interesting is the championship standings. And well, after last week, I just need to go back into the pit lane twice. Jacob Reed closes the gap on Eduardo Radice. Look at it, just 16 points now. Only one other man has won this season. It was James Byrne at Mugello. These two have basically matched each other all season. Stanley Howard will be in 3rd, and James Byrne, we were just talking about, will be in 4th. Walter Lux will take 5th, tied with Burns, and Mario Bordelos as well in 6th. Jeffrey Lawler will be 7th. Alex Hagland in 8th. Leopard Stilneras in 9th. And George Van Rensburg. I wonder if our director will get the cameras on him a little bit more today. We'll be rounding out that top 10. Interesting, 11th place, by the way, Mil Burnsoff. Not done a race since Phillip Island. We're not at Phillip Island, though. We're round 8 for the championship. And those standings and the information, Alex, why don't we just give a quick view of the viewers, what they're expecting tonight.
Yeah, it's round 8 out of 24, 83 laps of the just shy of 2-mile circuit. Open setups, no spare cars. So if you've been in the barriers, that's it, game over. First drive through at 17 incident points and additional penalties every 8 thereafter.
Yeah. But I got to be brutally honest, around this place, I think you're going to be in 17 pieces before you get to 17 incident point. That is the unfortunate nature of this track out there today. Is also another thing they'll have to wrestle with is the fact that it's a hot track out there. At the moment, it's 42 Celsius. That is 107 Fahrenheit. And, well, that's always hot when I look at things. And I think the last time they had a hot race like this would have been Miami. And you even see with the wind there, southeasterly wind. And people are going to ask me, well, what does that mean when it comes to where that wind is coming from? Well, the whole track is basically east to west. There's your answer. All you need to see is Jacob Reed will be one of the first men, or one of the second men to come across. They've already done one lap out here, Jacob Reed into P3. As he's looking to try and find, a little twitch there. That might hold him up as he comes through and heads down to the cat turn into turn 6. Didn't have the best of turn 5s there.
Yeah, and again, you're just seeing how hard Jacob Reed is actually pushing this car around the track. As now it's going to be down Seaside Way, one of the 2 DRS activation zones that the drivers will use here for round 8, into the right-hander here at Firestone turn, then into Indy left, and then it's basically full lock. And there you can see the amount of steering angle you need as Jacob Reed punches the throttle out of the final corner. Fastest lap at the moment by Eduardo Rodis is 1 minute, 0.53523. Jacob Reed manages to go within a tenth of him as Philip Coonhart in the number 10 car, currently rounding out the top 5 at the moment.
Yeah, Philip Coonhart. By the way, Eduardo Rodis, he did set 1 lap, and that was it for his Philip Coonhart using the full lock. It's almost like you need the Monaco package with how tight that is, and that could be very interesting. And the race wind goes out, DRS opens up, and it's 9,000 slower than Alex Hagland. As now Sebastian Ricau will be coming across the line, and he's able to set a 102.675. So Haki out there as well, number 19 car, doesn't really do well. And I did say, our director, didn't I? He had to get it, Alex. You can't let a man down. George van Rensburg, not the best of times today. So Eduardo Rodis continues on, and he does have this 1 extra lap, and I think he's just going to be doing it to get some data, because what's interesting at the moment is he's out here on medium tires. Everyone set their race laps apart from Matt Malone on the soft tires, and they had to do that 1 compound change. We might be seeing a 2-stopper out there tonight.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the track temperatures being so high at the moment. I mean, Ray Griffio in the number 17, currently in 17th position at the moment, is coming out of the final corner, and a long shoreline drive across the stripe. A 1:45.1 as the number 20 car, Frankie. I'm not going to even try to attempt to pronounce that surname because it might just have me in giggles because I get it wrong. But is trying to. You can see. Oh, that's a big bit of a wobble there. And again, this is where we could see drivers, find the back end of the cars getting a little bit loose. And then it's just about putting that power down, but not going down, not hitting the throttle too early here, Craig. That's quite crucial because, again, you wallop that curve like we've just seen, coming out of Pine Avenue into the 90 right, into Seaside Way, high speed acceleration, hard on the brakes at about 125 metres into Firestone turn. And you're back down the gearbox again, then it's full lock. But at the moment, when you think about it, the top 3, Radis, Byrne and Reed, covered by a 1/10 of a second, with Francesco Massara in the number 22 car yet to set a lap time, and I think might be doing the old strategy of it's a tight technical circuit, the barriers are quite close, let's see if I can make it through past a few cars that might have trouble on lap 1.
I think survival is going to be the name of the game. I think in some of the earlier races in these time slots, I think less than 10 cars have finished. And to be fair, that's just the name of this track. You have to be a little bit prepared. And some of these drivers preparing themselves. Radice has just been out there doing some practice starts, and that needs to show you everything you need, because this is going to be a very dangerous. When you see a race around Long Beach nowadays, it's a rolling start. This isn't a rolling start. This is a grid lane. This is a grid start there. So it's going to be probably the toughest turn one you may see. And we can do the age-old meme, Alex. The guy who designed this track will not be taken into a dark room, because this track wasn't really designed for grid starts. Used to be back in the old days, but not nowadays.
No, and I hope that no one gets ends up like a certain Spider-Man, Helio Castroneves, being turned around and punted onto the flower beds just off of the fountain off of Toyota. It could very well happen, but it's just about now. You know, we're not that far away from... Now, we're another few rounds away from the halfway point out of 24 rounds, but Eduardo Radice, once again, the Italian, has taken pole position, but by a whisker this point around. Yeah,
it's not the biggest of gaps today, but all it does mean is he will be pole position. We'll add Eduardo Radice. James Byrne will be second with Jacob Reed on P3. Alex Hagland will take fourth, and Philip Kuhnhart will be fifth. Lukas Omorski will take sixth, and Jeffrey Lawler seventh. Walter Lutz will be in eighth, and Ali Gushman ninth. Stan Hagerud rounds out your top 10.
We then turn the page, and Kent Nielsen lines up on the inside of row number 6 with Lyle Pionard alongside George Van Rensburg and Maciek Sohaki rounding out row 7. Max Barnes and Jim Marshall will be on row 8, ahead of Ray Griffin and Sebastian Recco. Leopold Steneros and Frankie in the number 20 car rounds out your top 20, with still another 2 cars set to take to the grid on 11 rows in total.
Yeah, Matt Malone last at a time qualifies in 21st, and Francisco Massara will be in 22nd for this 22-car field around the streets of Long Beach. And as we see the fountain there, we don't want to see people going into the fountain. Maybe afterwards, a bit of a celebration, but we'll wait to see how that yields up. Waiting for a few more drivers on the grid. James Burns there in his colors, and there's Eduardo Radice. Remember, they won't get DRS for the first 3 laps, so going to be a little battle of attrition. 83 laps, and you can see that the qualifying times, they were doing 1 minute, so it's going to be a very quick lap around here. And well, that's how you get it on a small track like this. Just a couple more cars to go. Track temps just dipped a little bit because we're getting to the afternoon. 39 Celsius, 103 Fahrenheit. But what's important is 22 cars and 83 laps of Long Beach. Only 1 man, 2 men on the soft tires. Everybody else taking the mediums for the long run. Revs go up, and we will go green at Long Beach, and it is the start that Radice was practicing. He gets a great run here, and so does Burns right behind. I think Philip Kuhnhart, sorry, gonna have a little bit of problems here, as is Jacob Reed trying to force the issue onto James Burns. Will everybody get through? I think they will, side by side with Alex Hagerud. Gets a really bad start there, almost getting overtaken by Jeffrey Lawler. Everybody makes it clear, and they all check up at the fountain.
Yeah, Radice once again doing those lightning quick starts, so the Italian has already got nearly a 6/10 advantage as they head into Tech 8 turn for the first time, up down Pine Avenue, and then it's sweep across the left-hand side of the circuit. Alex Hagland, the fast Swede, chasing down Philip Kuhnhart in 4th position, as Sochaki trying to close in on Pionard for 13th position. You've got the number 15 of Max Barnes rounding out the top 15 overall. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of pack battling here, and with those 2 DRS zones, the second of which, not along with Seaside Way, is on the start-finish straights, and you've got to be very decisive of when you throw the anchors out the back of these W13 cars as they roar past the start-finish line in the opening lap. And Eduardo Radice has got nearly a 9/10 of a second advantage before the braking zone into Toyota.
I think the leaders are now starting to think about what are they doing for tyre saving right here. See how long they can go, and everybody else just trying to work their way through this. As Jeffrey Lawler is looking to try and make some moves. Already up one place. He does it as well. I see as well Makitsaki not having a good time. In fact, well, where on earth has he lost that? That's after the fountain, and let's be careful. Everyone has to back up there. He lost it under throttle coming around that turn 4. And I think as well, Matt Malone not in the best of times out there as well. He found issues out there as well. He's been slow, so the back markers having a little bit of issues out there, but these drivers battling on. Stoneraz would love to try and get up the order. He's already up 3 places. And what a Radis gets it. Here's what happened to Sahaki on the throttle, like you said, Alex. Just a bit too trigger happy with that throttle.
That's the problem with this kind of street course here, Craig, because you've got very abrasive and very changeable tarmac surfaces. Of course, this being a street course normally during the day, it's just for the normal road-going public, as Jeffrey Lawler is trying to close in on the Swede in front, Alex Haglund for P5. But again, people might say, yeah, this race could be considered as processional. These drivers are not taking it processional by any stretch of the imagination. They are going 10 tenths and then some. Sander Haugerod closing in on Okomsky as Matt Malone goes through into T1. I think just clipped the curb there through Toyota, and the front wing nearly catches the barriers on the left-hand side heading into the fountain in a second.
Front wing said, please, no, I can't deal with any more damage, and just clips it as the gaps are starting to show at the front. DRS will be enabled on this time, but not right now, so they'll have to wait till they get to Teesside Way. But that's a real good run there from Haggerud. Can he slow that down in time? Oh, I'll tell you what, he was very close to hit the barriers there, but got that move done. And I believe as well that Okomowski had actually had to serve a slowdown, as now we're on board with Ali Goshman. Now, you're going to wonder, why would he have a slowdown? Well, to open up the corner too much there means you go into the pit exit line. And iRacing deemed that not racing surface because it's the pit exit. So if you cross over that line too much to open up turn 1, and to be fair, he did have Haggerud going for a really ambitious move that worked, well, you're going to have issues out there. And what happened was he went a bit too wide, had to take a slowdown. And Alec Goshman, one of the only soft tire drivers out there, not having the start we expected.
Yeah, and, you know, Francesco Masada down in 21st position is the other driver that has decided to go with the soft Pirelli compound. So the medium tyres in this more extensive heat, as we see. Oh, there's big old contact into turn 1. And that was Kuhnhardt and Haglund, I believe, getting together. Haglund is 180 wrong way round. He's in the pit lane. Kuhnhardt's in the pit lane. Carbon fibre everywhere.
I'll tell you what, Volta Lux, yeah, can you get yourself a lottery ticket? It might be a bit late now, but look for tomorrow, because somehow he was able to avoid all of that, and picking up some of the, picking up a little bit of luck there will be George Van Rensburg, who goes up now 4 places in that wonderful pink and purple, or blue and purple livery design. He managed to make a few places up because of that, starting to battle on. But let's have a look at this replay, because it was just a little bit of an ambitious move here. DRS giving the overspeed. That's going to work if you can get it. But remember, I was talking about how Sander had that move that made me go up an octave. That's why, because you don't have a lot of room there on the tire barrier to really go for anything. And unfortunately, just hitting that tire barrier too much caused the whole moment. I will say in a moment that if we do get a chance, the Volta Lux onboard of that, Alex, somehow, I don't know how he avoided it as the leaders continued to battle on. James has managed to find some time the last couple of laps to come right back up to Radis.
Yeah, and there you see Jacob Reed about 1.6 seconds behind this battle, rounding out the top 3. I think it was just the case of Haglund just decided to throw the Hail Mary, completely misjudged the braking area, and then all of a sudden, bang, he's straight to the barrier, loses his front wing, and then Philip Kuhnhardt's unsighted, has got nowhere to go, and bang, straight away, both drivers in the pits. That's it. It's over.
Well,
and
that's just it.
Byrne has got the DRS open. He's really pressurising Edoardo Radice, the Italian, who hasn't had a win for the last couple of rounds, let's be honest. He was P3 in Montreal last time out. Miami, P8, won last time, and that was round 5 back at Imola, and he'd done 3 on the bounce. He'd done Suzuka, Nürburgring, and then Imola back to back. And again, it just goes to show this is a very, very long series, 24 races, and you can just see Radice and Byrne both scraping sidewalls against the wall, and that is coming out of Pine Avenue. We're going to have a look on board with Walter Lux, the man from Austria. Bang, there's the contact, and look at this. Well played, Walter Lux. That was beautifully done.
Yeah, well, when I was looking at one camera angle, it looked a little bit better than that. That was very tight out there, and wow, that was quite a moment. And so he is very lucky. And in fact, a lot of these drivers already now looks into the pits there. I don't think he's got damage, so I'm not entirely sure what he's pitting for. This is an early call on the medium tires. Now, because of the tire temp, because of the track temp, you're not going to see drivers flirt with hard tires around here. There's only 2 tracks on the season that will work with hard tires, as George Van Rensburg will be battling the soft runner. But these tires, they're gonna have to be a little bit, work on this. That they know that they're looking at maybe a 2-stopper, definitely a 3-stopper. Gonna be a little bit too much out there today. But I think they will be looking at this. Has to be 2 stops minimum, mediums and softs, as we're probably going to see Jacob Reed. Oh, wow! That is a world champion save.
Yeah, and also in the meantime, the lead has changed because James Byrne now ahead of Edoardo Radice and has got a lead of about 0.8 of a second. So there has been a drama for the man from Italy, as again, they are flirting with disaster. Now, one of the things I'm going to be interested in seeing is how long our leading drivers stick to the medium compound Pirelli tyres. I mean, Ali Gugman currently still running in P7, just about 5 or 6 tenths of a second behind George Van Rensburg, who's up 7 spots. Biggest mover of the night, Leopold Stineros, up 9 and is now rounding out the top 10. He's closing in on Max Barnes and is about 1.3 seconds behind number 15. So you're going to see, here's the move from James Byrne, round the outside into Toyota, neat as you like. Got the DRS activated, hit his markers, saw the inside line open, and Edoardo Radice thought, you know what, this is an 83 lapper. I'm not going to chance it. Maybe on the pit lane strategy, the Italian might find something a little special to pull out of the magician's hat.
Gotta watch out as well for Jacob Reed, because he's quite close behind him. What's he going to do? And many of these drivers haven't done racing. I can tell you that Ali Goshman definitely did racing. In fact, he did a race earlier today. He did one of the earlier races yesterday, sorry. And he went medium, soft, soft, and he went 45 laps on those mediums. Well, he's on the softs today, but you can only get about a baker's dozen and then some when it comes to softs out here, will the Turkish driver. So I do wonder what his plan is, because those tyres are going to start to really get held up here. Radice getting held up with Jacob Reed now as James Burns has started to pull away. I wonder if there's issues on Radice's car, because he has been dropping a little bit. Back mark has not been helping either, as Jacob Reed's going to look for a move. He will get that DRS, but I also know that Radice is going to get the DRS because of the back marker. That's going to help him. Reed's going to have to wait. Oh, he's nowhere for him to go. I know blue flags are advisory. One could think maybe that could have been a lift there to let both through.
Yeah, Krasnodar has also come back into the pits as well, and he's switched to the soft compound tyres. I'm seeing a little bit of a pattern here that maybe the likes of Walter Lux, Kent Nielsen, Francesco Musara, they're staying out on these soft tyres. So probably, maybe when you have like Walter Lux was on the mediums to start, he's got onto the softs early, maybe to get them out of the way. And I'm noticing also that with Ali Gukman, he's run at one point, he was running 2 seconds a lap slower than current race leader James Byrne. So the softs will have an optimum window, but if you can get 45 laps out of these medium Pirelli tyres here at Long Beach, you're probably talking probably say with about 43 to go. If some people have decided, right, I'm going to get the softs out of the way, and maybe a two-stopper might not be the optimum strategy. If some people go out for maybe 2 back-to-back stints on soft compound tyres to extract the maximum performance, that might help them to say, you know what, these medium tyres are keeping their performance really well. And that's just been shown by James Byrne. New fastest lap of the race, 1:02.458. We always know that the softs are very easy to heat up and they drop off the cliff very, very quickly. Whereas the medium tyres take a few more laps, like maybe say the first 8 to 12 laps to really get up to temperature, and then you've got this long sort of plateau where you can have this consistent pace, and especially around a track here at Long Beach.
Burns at a 102.4, he's at a 102.6. The frequency for an old radio station in my area, but they're not using that right now. They're using the Long Beach area coders. Jacob Reed caught back up to Radice, and again, Radice now. This just feels a little bit interesting. I can't see damage to those tires, and they look. Remember, you get an idea of where on these tires that they start glistening like a brand new set of rubbers would be like when you watch racing in the real world, and then they start to dull. And the duller they get, the more wear they are. But I'm not seeing a difference compared to Jacob Reed's tires compared to Radice's tires. So I do wonder if there's some damage. Is he trying to do some efficiency here? Because one of these drivers may go for the one stopper, but two stops does look a little bit more eventful. When I'm looking up the sky, well, there's a cloud. You just see it there. I don't see any other clouds. And if it's going to be a cloudless day, this is going to be a hot track. And I do wonder if that's going to be an issue. But a hot track also means some good overtakes, and Jacob Reed will slow that car down to get into P2. The pole sitter is struggling right now. And now with this pace, will Reed decide to attack Burns? Or will he decide to just hold on and wait to the end? But now also, can Radice hold on to Reed? Because that pace has dropped after he lost that lead to Burns.
Yeah, significant as well, to be complete. We've got Matt Malone. Now he's got a mechanical black flag. Oh, straight on. Left front, takes the battering. Wheels now flapping around the place. He pulls to the right-hand side, and that is Matt Malone out. Lukasz Okomski has also fallen in the face of the mechanical black flag, so that driver is now out. And well, I think I'm wondering if Matt actually got behind the wheel and managed to put in some practice laps. I don't think he did, but to be honest with you, we've got 18 cars now, so Kuhnhardt and Hagland out 10 laps ago, on lap 5. Malone and Okomski. Francisca now the last driver in the number 20 car and is running on the soft tyres, running 18th at the minute. As there you can see, Radice is, like you rightly said, Craig, hemorrhaging time. I don't think he's got the car underneath him, because coming through that 90-degree right-hander we just saw, the back end did not seem settled as Leopold Steneros trying to close in on Lyle Pienaar, who's got some love in the YouTube channel at the moment. So this is the battle for P9. So Steneros from Sweden trying to close in on the Springbok in front of him.
Yeah, I do wonder if this could be a little bit of good luck for the Swede getting the fans out. I keep looking to see if Radice has got a different setup. But in terms of aero package, they're both got in the same setup, so something got to be a risk there with Radice, and might just be some tyre saving right now. But Soneris trying to get up there, already up 9 places. Did a real good run up the field. 19th to 10th is also picture-in-picture of Walter Lux. Well, remember he came into the pits, he's on the sauce. He's also battling Ray Gravoin, who's on the mediums and started in the pit lane. So Walter, if he can just get the move there, he's got the pace. He would love to get the move. Picture in main picture, though. Steneris getting that overtake done. Oh, tricky. tricky place to make the moves. We will constantly reference that for the next 70-ish laps, because we might be seeing some more drivers go a little bit hot there. I do remember you talked about Helio into the fountain. I remember, Alex, Roman Grosjean into the tire barrier at Toyota at turn 1. Not even the pros, sorry, get it wrong on that corner.
Scotty Mack is another one that's hit the tyre barriers here. I think Will Power, Brian Hunter-Ray. I think the list could go on and on. Maybe even Dario Franchitti at one point. But still, at this point in the race, on lap 18 out of 83, we still have 18 competitors, and the biggest contingent is making it a lot better for themselves in terms of sticking on these medium compound tyres. I am keeping an eye on Valtteri Lux's times. His best lap so far, which was 2 laps ago, was a 1 minute 2.877, which actually wasn't that far off of the pace of our front runners, as Jacob Reed now has the new fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 2.275. I'm just wondering, we did see Eduardo Radice in the first few laps of this race get incredibly close, and it looked like the left front tyre sidewall impacted onto the wall when he was turning into right-hand corners. Now, whether that has possibly compromised his steering ever so slightly is anyone's guess, but that might be possibly some of the reason. If he's not able to keep the steering wheel straight in the places where he needs to, that is going to compromise him on time.
It's going to be interesting to see. We'll try and get on board to see if that steering wheel's a little bit crooked for Radice, as that looks like Frankie letting them by. I can't see much of an issue on that steering wheel, even if it is just the barest of like 1 degree. You're not going to get that much of an issue. Oh, another issue out there, Max Barnes. I can see it going down. In fact, well, where is he? Hang on. Where? Oh, there he is. You can't find him right now, but he has found the tire barrier. And unfortunately, as we were saying, that's another driver trying to take too much speed into Toyota. Does cost him, as Strahaki now looking to try and get moves done, get past Sebastian Riccal. Strahaki, this would be great. 4 seconds up the road is Jim Marshall. What a job that would be to get your first, I believe it is, would be his first points this season in the championship.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I think at the moment, Valtteri Lux is going to be the man that we've got to really keep an eye on. And his pace on the soft compound tyres has been actually pretty mighty, despite having to battle with the likes of Sebastian Rekov just in front of him in the number 13 car. And look, Valtteri Lux, DRS open, down Seaside Way into Firestone, the Austrian through for 12th position. And you're now going to see, well, that was Jake Byrne getting through. So Valtteri Lux, despite having going on the soft Pirelli compound tyres, has ended up a lap down. And you can see now that Rekov is battling with Jacob Reed. Jacob Reed to the high side through, as we're going to see a replay coming up right now. And this is from Max Barnes. This is what happened. Turn 1, spins it, bang. And then it's going to be pinball across the other side, rear wing off. And that was all she wrote for the number 15 car, I'm afraid. Down to 17 we go out of 22 starters, 20 laps to go, my friend.
Well, we did say it was going to be a bit of a survival game out there, and well, I hate to say it, but we are getting it. Reed's got 2 drivers battling one another in front of him right now. Valtteri Lux could have got past the Hackey, or could have got past the Hackey that had a good run. Decided against it, and well, Magic, nowhere for him to go right now. He's going to have to wait, but oh, it's so tight around the hairpin. That's going to cost Jacob Reed some time. And now, come on, Magic. I know Jacob's going to get the DRS. That's going to be all right, but again, blue flags are advisory. But in this series, remember, Formula cars don't have brake lights. You can't really rely on knowing if they're going to slow down or not. And Jacob's been able to make some time up regardless, but sometimes blue flags, you're going to have to be a little bit fun and respectful. But everybody, in all due fairness, everybody, because you see those cars just ahead? One of them, James Byrne. The other are 2 back markers. Where are they? Well, we can't really say because we can't really see because it's just so chaotic out there. This is now, I hate to say it, welcome, Alex, to multi-class racing.
Yes, indeed. You take a position, they take a position. It's like the Chuckle Brothers. To me, to you, to me, to you. It's like musical chairs at a birthday party at the moment. You don't know who's going to get the upper hand. As Valtteri finally gets through on Magic Sohaki for 11th position. So the Austrian on the move. And, well, look at the time between him and Jim Marshall, who is struggling on those medium compound tyres. Valtteri nearly had the inside line at that point towards Toyota, but now he's right on the rear wing of the number 18. And then there's a big gap from Marshall to Lyle Bienar up in 9th position in the number 14 car. He's behind the very, very fast, and I did say, you know, Leopold Stenaros, I think that's his worst qualifying of the season. The Swede is up 11 positions. He's up into P8 and he's closing in on Ali Gurkman, and he's actually lapping around about the same pace as Valtteri gets through on Jim Marshall from the UK in the number 18 car for P10. But still, the pit stops are going to be crucial. You said about those one-stoppers, whoever's going to do that, they are going to have to make these mediums last as long as humanly possible. And we've seen it multiple times this season here, Craig, that there's always been that optimum window that the medium tyres have worked through. And you've always got those that 1 or 2 percentile range of drivers that can really make them work and be ultra consistent, as Jacob Reed, another new fastest lap by the man who's chasing down James Byrne. Battle for the race lead now 6/10 apart. Reed with a 1 minute 2.150. The man from the UK is definitely looking to go for the race lead.
Yeah, he's got those tyres working, being really well this season when it comes to tyre wear. And they're at this, if they're looking to do a one-stopper, I think even if they're looking to come into the pit soon, I think 10 laps, you've got to do another 10 laps, I feel, on these tyres before knowing that you're going to have to dart in. I might be wrong. I might be right. But, you know, if you're looking at a two-stopper, probably about lap, you know, before lap 30 at the earliest. You're looking at a one-stopper. You're looking after lap 40 and trying to make those softs go a long way. And on a 38 Celsius track temp, I can't see it, but I can see him putting pressure on. So is Sahaki, trying to make sure right behind that he doesn't get caught by Jim Marshall. Now Valtteri is gone, and I do see that Raquel right behind is a little bit struggling, but he's made that overtake already. And now he has to just get away. It's not been good for Jin. Starting to make those tyres work a little bit more. And I go back to the dullness scale. And I think that front left is starting to be a little bit dull for Jim Marshall as Jacob Reed takes the DRS. Never would have thought DRS down Seaside Way. But it's provided actual good racing right now. I know DRS is artificial, some people say, Alex. But look at the moves they're making because of that DRS down Seaside Way.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob Reed is really motoring along. He's, again, 2 laps in a row. Well, he's the first driver to break into the 101s here, Craig. 101.798. James Byrne now taking a little bit too much curve through the fountain section. That's going to lose him a little bit of time as they're going to head out. And again, you can see that little puff of dust into the air as, again, James Byrne getting so close with the sidewalls of the medium compound Pirellis. As we head into Tech 8 turn, now up into Pine Avenue. Byrne was so close to the wall on the right-hand side. Reed is just waiting for that opportunity. He's still within DRS range down Seaside Way, so that gap is going to come down. As you're now going to see around about the 120 metre markers when you sort of like lift off, hit the brakes, shift down a couple of gears through into Firestone. But it's now that Reed has just got to wait. Now bury the throttle. You've got to wait until the car completely lines up with the pointy end heading straight down Shoreline Drive. And Reed again, he's closing that gap, but at the moment I think he needs to be 0.3 of a second behind. They're heading into Toyota once again, and it's it's as Jacob Reed approaches the braking zone here, Craig, that he coming out of the hairpin, going down to Shoreline Drive, he needs to be at least, at maximum, 3.5 tenths back for that DRS to be engaged and fully usable, and then fire it up the inside at turn 1. But Reed, I think, is playing the longer game here right about now.
Yeah, and again, you look at that over-the-shoulder camera we have. We've got that to show you that we can see the DRS. If they're in DRS, you'll see one light on the steering wheel. Jacob Reed decides to kiss the barrier. I'm just looking. I don't see any damage. I think he's going to get away with that. He's a very lucky boy. He will still get the DRS here on James, but won't be looking to attack it. What's interesting is he will start to work his way up, and yeah, he's too close at the end. No driver in this field has won at Long Beach. Sanfilippo, Fassbender, Jordan Gongrowski, and Joseph Loke, all the 4 drivers in the GP Tour to win here at Long Beach. We could be seeing a new name up there, and James already got 1 win to his name this season, just 1. Jacob Reed would love to do this because his stats in America, unfortunately, aren't very good. You look at his record at Sebring, no win at Sebring. Road America, well, it was off the calendar a couple of times. No win there. VIR as well when it was on the calendar. Nothing there for him. Didn't get around at Belle Isle. He did win at Indianapolis. But all the time until this season, he's only had 1 win in North America. Well, he got the Miami race, and then he also got Gilles Villeneuve. Can he make Long Beach? And can he actually get the North American monkey off his back?
And that'll also put him in a pretty good place alongside Eduardo Rodis, who also has had 3 back-to-back victories so far in this season of the GP Tour. So he'll basically carry on what Eduardo Rodis did in the 3 races prior to Miami and Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Suzuka, Nürburgring and Imola, which was the German-Italian leg. But now I think this could be a very, very good opportunity for Jacob Reed, as Kent Nielsen now through on Sebastian Rekov for 13th position. Rekov, another one that is really not fine. I think it said, as you said earlier, Craig, with regards to the dullness scale on the tyres, I think the man from Germany might have over-exhausted those medium compound tyres. But Byrne and Reed, I mean, Reed's just gone another sub 1 minute 2 just then. And look how close he is coming into Toyota. He did have to lift off, so the DRS deactivated. And again, he is just, I think it's just between Byrne and Reed for the race win here, because they have dropped Eduardo Rodis like a bad habit. The Italian is 4.7 seconds behind Reed. So I think you might be right in what you're saying. Maybe Eduardo Rodis might be going for possibly the Sergio Perez Stiley one-stopper here.
Yeah, because in all due fairness, you look at his lap time, well, it's pretty good. Rodis was a 101.944 last time by, and Reed was a 101.987. So he's matching. But as that tyre started to get to the medium stage of the stint, he was struggling out there. And Jacob, again, because of how slow, because of the tight lines you have to take around the hairpin, not a lot he can do when he comes down Shoreline Drive. And he'll get close again. He'll get close again, and he's actually looking for it this time. They'll be side by side, and James decides, right, I'm getting out of this. Let's get clean. Let's be safe. Reed to the lead of the race. That's vital if he wants to hold on to this. So the question will now be, last few laps, he's been faster, granted by a tenth, or in that case, it was literally a tenth. I wonder if this could be a case of, can he pull ahead, or will he just allow James to follow him? Follows him, dirty air, puts more strain on the tires. That's not what James wants to do. What Jacob wants to do right now is to start to establish a gap. I think these next 5 laps are going to give us a nice indication of, are we going to see Jacob a push for this, or are they now just in survival mode for these tires? And by the way, we talk about survival mode. Alec Oshman still on the softs after 30 laps in these temperatures. So maybe it is all good to say, but that's a lot of time to be having moments out there.
Ali Gushman doing a 1:02.908 on his last lap. As here comes James Byrne with the DRS open into turn 1, lap 32. And again, he's finding the same thing happening to him, so the boot's on the other foot, so to speak. But I think, as you rightly put it, Jacob Reed wants to now establish a little bit of dominance on this race. He wants to extend that gap. But of course, when we see how quickly the pit stops are taking, I mean, Walter Lux now up into P10, and he's closed that gap to Lyle Pienaar, the South African, in 14th position. In ninth position. The gap was about 25 seconds. Walter Lux, the Austrian, has just taken nearly 10 seconds of that gap away. So Walter Lux, I think, is on a medium, soft, medium strategy here. And if Ali Gutman can run those tyres for now what is lap 32 and still be in 7th, he's up 2 spots from the inside of row 5 at the start of the race. If Gutman can get those soft tyres to at least half distance, he has got a real window of opportunity for doing a true one-stopper. But then, if Walter Lux is keeping an eye on how many laps Gutman's been on those tyres, can he really stretch out the boat? But the big thing is, he came in on lap 8 of the race to switch to the soft. So if you're talking maybe 30 to 35 laps, that'll probably put him on lap 44 out of 83, and he might decide to do the two-stopper, switch to the mediums, and bring it home.
You see on the pit timings right there, as Stellaras comes in to the pit lane. Technically, Walter is, I gotta be really honest, he's de facto for 20 seconds behind the leaders at the moment when you think he's been lapped. But this really does give you a feel that this is NASCAR or IndyCar, because of how quick the lap times are. A pit stop here basically puts your lap down. So if Lux can get the clear air that he wanted, maybe that's also why. Gets off the soft tires as well. He's pushing really hard as well. And he's actually also pushing Radice right now, which this should be the other way. It should be Radice on the medium tires, harassing the soft tire driver. But Walter having a really good time out here. But he also knows, let's be respectful. If I'm fast and I get the run, I will go for it. I'm not going to fight you, because my strategy right now is different. And what a strategy. This is one to look out for. Walter Lux, I think, is looking for a top 5. I think the top 3 are just in a different lead today. Because look at it. Radice is now 18, almost 19 seconds ahead of Jeffrey Lawler. So I wonder if that's going to be it. But Walter already extending that lead on Maki Sohaki. And also you see other drivers into the pits just can't catch up to him either. And that final hairpin, that just goes to show sometimes that's the biggest difference in some of these drivers. And also we've had a change for the lead, because James Burns with that DRS, well, there you go. There's the 5 laps done, Alex. And the answer is Jacob doesn't have the pace to extend the gap.
Yeah, and James said his fastest lap of the race on that tour, 1:01.739. Eduardo Radice, no surprise, he's got the fastest lap of the race, 1:01.585. So Radice, I think, you rightly pointed this out, Craig. He was on that sort of tyre conservation strategy. And by doing that, you elongate the window of operation and the adhesiveness of those medium compound Pirelli tyres. And Radice has kept his tyres for that little bit longer. What has that also meant? Because Byrne and Reed are battling, the gap was about 5 seconds, it's now 3.5. So Radice is starting to close, and he's just, well, as I say that, James Byrne, 1:01.466 ahead of Jacob Reed with a 1:02.5. Radice, a mid 1:01.9. So I don't think the Italian can be counted out in any stage of this race so far here on lap 36, but Byrne, all wobble from Reed, coming out of the right hand of the back end, nearly snapped around on itself. Jacob Reed kept a great hold of that. A replay. This is going to be involving Leopold Steneros, the man from Sweden, and he's on the soft compound tyres. Oh! The run is over from the number 5. after such a great opening stint, Leopold Steneros becomes the latest casualty. That is 6 drivers out of the 22 starters. Big impact after what was a great opening stint for Leopold Steneros there.
And that was on cold tyres. Remember, we just saw him come into the pit lane, and that meant that he was really struggling. This is going to be a struggle, and well done, Frankie. Managing to get out of the way. That could have been always dangerous. You come around Toyota out there as well as there's Jacob. Well, we thought we saw Jacob there for a moment. It's a disappearing act there for Jacob as they're holding on to the battles and holding on. Steneros there. That's so unfortunate there as another driver goes on by. That gap is closing though. Again, Radice, Reed, Burns all matching. 101.842, 101.860, 101.876. So the matching stands the hundredths and thousands, and I would love some hundreds and thousands right now to put on a cake, but the cake is being baked by these drivers at the moment. They're having to wait for the opportunity. But again, and I think this is the reason, Alex, and I've been looking. I think Jacob, he's got such a good car. There's one Achilles heel for him today. It's that hairpin. He's really not got the hangs of that hairpin.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got to put it full lock to lock, right hand down, and you've got to wait right up until the last second before you've got the confidence to boot the throttle down 100%. And that's where we're seeing Jacob Reed just losing and hemorrhaging time there, whereas Byrne and Radice, they've got a real good handle on it. And you can't have an Achilles heel at this particular point of a race, because you've got to try and find, if you can, if there is a workaround, as Ali Gukman closing in on South Africa's George van Rensburg. Rensburg up 7 spots. Gukman trying to get DRS activation, which does work, but sticks behind the number 9 from South Africa, currently running P6, started from the inside of row number 7 as we ride on board with the man from Turkey, and he is absolutely pushing 38. It's the 38th lap of this stint, and Ali Gukman, I think, could be a little bit of a wild card, because if you see certain drivers going for 2-stop strategy, if Gukman goes on to those mediums and keeps fairly similar pace to what he's got at the moment, which is around about the 102.5s, he might be a bit of a dark horse for a top 5 finish, I think, here tonight.
Well, it's quite interesting because we talk about these soft tyres, and again, there are other time slots in this, and we do the money slot. There was a race earlier today, not a relative of mine, but an Alan King reportedly went 4 laps on the mediums and 74 laps on a pair of softs. He only finished 5 laps down. Now, that doesn't sound right, but apparently that's what the stats say. And if the computer says that, I'm not going to judge the computer. So for Ali Gokman right now, that might be true. You just don't know right now. Really pushing hard, as is Jacob Reed. I had to look back. I was talking about how the hairpin has been such an issue for Jacob. Well, after I spoke last, I looked at the times. I looked at the deltas. 4 or 5 kilometers an hour slower through there, and it's not a consistent curve going down and up the throttle. It's kind of a little bit stagnated, and it holds at those low speeds before he gets onto the throttle. Really is struggling, and you'd think follow James. You've been following James now for about 30 laps. You've also overtook him as well. Can you look at what Burns is doing? And let's just see different lines here. Look at the different ways they'll take this, and they'll all go closing in. And it almost feels like Jacob there, he's turning in too early. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but yeah, to me, he's turning in a little bit early. 47 kph was his low speed. 49 was the low speed for James. So I just feel he's almost doing, as I would say, Alex, he's almost sports car turning that hairpin. He's trying to use the curve to his advantage. Can't really use that in these F1 cars.
Well, no, because, as James Byrne has a bit of a wobble, as Reed now all over the back of his rear wing at the moment. Yeah, I could hear it through the way that the turbocharger was trying to spool up and it's tried to spool up early. Like Reed is getting close to the wall and is looking to modulate and then apply that throttle progressively. But the thing is, with a turbocharged V6 engine, it is not going to give you direct throttle performance straight out of the bag with a turbocharged engine. You're going to see it here, it bogs down, because once you're going flat chat, you know, you're going from like 25% throttle application to 100%. You've got to allow for the turbocharger to spool up, and then comes the boot of the power. But for Jacob Reed, like you rightly said, he's doing it like you would in an LMDH or a GT3 car. But in this kind of Leviathan, it is a completely different skill set. As again, James Byrne floating with the walls.
Let's have a quick replay as well. We got this little down moment here. Here's Jim Marshall. Oh, Jim was having such a good race. Is he going to just... Ooh, and that's a bit of camber there. He does continue on. We can just see he cameras on. He has to do the old 360 or the 180. Gets it gone. There's a little bit of a camber in there, and you're going down the hill a bit more there. You're going from flat to down as he then starts to go on, but he's on hot tires, and Kent Nielsen decides, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do a spin as well. You did 180. I'm going to do a 180, and unfortunately, the judges aren't really there to score 180s. They're here to make sure that you're all driving safe. But at least they do keep safe and they do keep on driving as Jacob Reed doesn't catch up once again. The times to look at are 101.853 for Burns and 102.039 for Reed. And well, there's a 101.939 as well for Radice. He's really waiting for that opportunity. And we talked about the tire whispering. We talked about the Checo moments there. I'm going to put money on it. Radice is going to be the last of these three to dive into the pits.
I think you're right on that one. I'm also going to throw in a little bit. There's been some interesting developments with regards to drivers coming to the pits. Lyle Pienaar from South Africa in the number 14 car, running P10, has stopped and did from pit lane entry to pit lane exit, 36.9 seconds, 4.1 changing to soft tyres. And he's only been on them for 5 laps. And then we've got James Byrne closing in on one of the cars in front. And I'm wondering who that is, whether that might... I'm not too sure that might have been George Van... Well, the thing is, it's not Van Rensburg. I think it's probably Jim Marshall, who's currently P12 at the minute. But Ali Gökman is 40 seconds behind Byrne, which is effectively just shy of a very quick pit stop here at Long Beach. They get through. That is Jim Marshall, so they're going to put another lap down on the number 18 from the UK. Not be the race for Jim Marshall here tonight, as we have 40 laps to go, including this one. So we're past the halfway point, and what a drive from the man from Turkey. He is still on the lead lap, and Gökman now closing in on Van Rensburg for P6.
Yeah, really pushing. You can tell the difference between Marshall and Van Rensburg. It's just a pastel versus a bold colour. The pastel man in Van Rensburg, he's got a slowdown. Where has he picked a slowdown up? Is that from overextending turn 1? Oh, it might be. Middle of the car was a little bit wide. He might have to yield and allow the Turk to get this done. We might serve this in time as they come down to Seaside Way. And in fact, no, he can't. Straight off the throttle there. Has to go. Ali Gökman up 3 places, but crucially on soft tyres. Didn't have the best of starts, with about 2 positions down from where he started for the first 5 laps. Gets that done real good. They're at the halfway stage. Is he looking to go into the pit? Not yet. And we haven't talked about the pits yet. And I'm sure when some of these leaders will come into the pits very soon, we'll get a chance to talk about it, because it's a tight pit entry and a very extreme left to get to the pit exit. And these drivers may be seeing it soon, because how much longer do you want to go on these tires, Jacob? How much longer do you want to go on these tires, James? Eduardo, well, just keep doing your thing. He's catching and catching. Will there be a move here from Jacob? No, he's just going to wait it out. In fact, he was off the DRS early, because he knew there was no point using that overspeed. He just wants to stay behind right now.
Yeah, he just got into the braking zone and just lifted off the throttle straight away, which deactivated the DRS. So discretion, the better part of valor there for the number 3 car. But still, to be within 0.4 of a second, and Jacob Reed in that opening sector has taken over a 1/4 of a second out of Byrne, but Byrne able to accelerate away. They've got some back marker traffic still ahead of them. 39 to go, including this one. We are now on lap 46 out of 83. And I think you're right, Craig. When will our leaders pit? And with back marker traffic like this that they need to get through on, it is not going to be an easy one. And again, Jacob Reed really tight to the inside line on the curbing at the hairpin, as they're now going to go down Bridgestone, heading into Toyota here at T1. DRS activated by both drivers, so Byrne got an assist from the car in front. Reed still trying to stick with him. And I think in the longer game that's being played here at Long Beach here, Craig, I mean, yeah, okay, Jacob Reed's got dirty air. Okay, that's going to compromise the aerodynamics. It's going to give him a little bit more straight line speed when required. But also, the big question is how much fuel has he saved behind James Byrne? Because, of course, as we know with these W13s, there is no refueling. It's just tyre changes, light up the 11s in the pit lane, hit the limiter, and make sure you get a clean exit out on track, as Rensburg threw on Gurkman, who I think in his own right might have just served a slowdown penalty. So a rechange between the South African and the Turk for P6.
Holds on as well, and that's going to be quite interesting to see. I think Jacob Reed is close enough to make a... I thought he was close enough to make a move, but I was looking at that timing tower, and, well, the timing tower lied to me as Burns goes faster once again. Gochman's losing time now, and I wonder, what have those softs got left on him? I do wonder is that, well, frankly, unfortunately, has called it a day as the number 20, Francesca, into the pits, having a moment is, well, Haggerud, very quiet race for a driver that's up 5 places today in that striking orange. It's not Dutch orange. It gives that same vibe, however, as sees Jeffrey Lawler going on by, still trying to catch up. And key thing is, as we know, everybody at the front are on mediums. There's where James Byrne's gone in. Burns, first one into the pits. And like I said, this is the crucial moment. He might get some clear air because Lawler is 20 seconds behind. But this run, ready, Alex, for one of the toughest pit exits in motorsport. Because if you don't know what it's like at Long Beach, you don't know when to turn left.
This is going to be a very, very quick pit stop. And Byrne now trundling his way down. Sub 4 second tyre change. And it's going to be very, very close indeed. And there you see the exit to the pit lane. He disengages the speed limiter. And off he goes, 36.47, and he's gone deep into Toyota at turn 1. That is not the exit that the man from the land of the stars and stripes wanted. Nearly went straight off into the runoff area and nearly had to do a 180 to get himself back round the right way.
Well, here comes Jacob Reed. Like I said, that's the problem when you've got this this challenging entry, and he had it was Haggerud right in front of him, and you can just see that as he goes on picture in picture, Jacob Reed there, he was just struggling. He had to turn left at some point, and well, he tried to turn left and there was a car there, so he had to turn left later, and it turned that 90-degree almost into a 100-degree corner. As Burns is going to come around the hairpin. How much has that traffic cost him? Because Reed is about to hit the cones. Not literally, but he'll come back up full speed. The gap is closing to Lawler, but the gap is 3 seconds to James. And much better exit for Jacob. That's how you need to do it. And I'm checking. No penalties there. And he gets it 1.5 seconds. That is the difference. But Reed has cold tyres. Burns, sorry, I almost said Radice. He's yet to pit. We were right. Burns, he's got some warmed up tyres here. He might be looking to make the overtake when they cross the line next time by.
At least the thing is with Ali Gurkman, as Sander Haugerod has pitted for fresh, soft Pirelli tyres. and he has come out up 22.8 seconds, and that's put him down into P8 behind Austria's Walter Lux, who is now on lap 42 of his stint with those soft tyres. And bearing in mind, Walter Lux came in lap 8 out of 83, and he's just put in at 101.763. His fastest lap of the race is not that far reserved from our front runners, as Jeffrey Lawler now comes into the pits from P4 in the number 8 car. So that's going to promote Van Rensburg, Gurkman, and very shortly, depending on how quickly Walter Lux can get through Indy left and through into the hairpin. Here he goes right now as Jeffrey Lawler is making his way. 4.6 second tyre change for the American. Walter Lux at high speed through out of Shoreline Drive, round across the start-finish stripe into Bridgestone. He's at full pace. This is going to be nip and tuck, and Lawler just ahead of the Austrian on pit lane exit, and it looks like it's Rekov just between the pair of them. So Jeffrey Lawler manages to keep ahead of Walter Lux in the meantime.
And Lux has got nowhere to make that move, and he's trying to get past him. That's going to cost him time, because if there was no lap traffic between them, I think he would have had a good run, because he's got worn-in tyres, and I mean worn-in tyres, and worn-in sidewalls as well off that little tap coming out to Cat Turn last time by. But he has caught up to Lawler, who's struggling to get these tyres up to temperature. Picture in picture, George Van Rensburg will head into the pits to get his tyres changed. There's still just 3 cars yet to pit. Maki Atsuhaki out there in P9 yet to pit. Ali Goshman. Well, boys, you're getting outbeaten here by a man on softs as Ali Goshman continues on. I have to double check that he is actually on the soft, that he is. Walter Lux is going to look to try and make a move here, but Lawler covers it, and I'm not entirely sure I did like that cover. That was almost a block there, if I would say so myself. It felt very reactionary. I don't think Lux is going to be happy, and that's, well, we talk about the real world, Alex. That's what they're trying to avoid in the real world now. Those speed differences, did that happen in the real time? That would have been very dangerous.
Yeah, looks like Walter Lux's tyres might be slightly falling off a cliff here, because the back end was just seen all over the shop going from left to right, and Walter Lux, well, I think the thing was, I'll give my 2 cents here. Jeffrey Lawler, okay, he did one move, but it was more of a, he saw that Walter Lux was looking around the outside to get the inside line for Toyota, and Lux gets it all wrong through the hairpin.
Yeah, he was the man that, when we were talking about Jacob Reed cutting down a bit too much, well, Walter Lux decided he'd cut it and then some, and he almost hugged the wall. And just double checking to see if he's got any damage on that car, and I think he's going to get away with that one. He's a very lucky boy, if that. But now he's going to have to try and work his way back up to Lawler, and in all due fairness, Lawler is another twitch. Walter needs to change these tyres. That's what it feels like right now. I think he needs to go and get the tyre swap. But it does feel that Lawler can't get these tyres up into optimal temperature, up into the range, as James Byrne, this is for your de facto lead. It's 34 seconds up the road at Eduardo Reed. Actually, is it the de facto lead? Because Burns and Reed are 34 seconds behind Reed, and we know how quickly some of these lap times, these pit stops could be. This is going to be interesting right now. So does Reed and Byrne want to start fighting? Because they may be ahead of it, because look who just went purple. Eduardo Reed, he is hitting, and I think he has, no, it's a 101.066. He's flirting with the 101s as Lux tries to force the issue on Lawler. And if he made that move around the outside, well, I don't think I would have had a voice left.
I think you would have had the defibrillator on standby just in case as well, for good measure. But Walter Lux is throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, the washer and tumble dryer, at Jeffrey Lawler, who is soaking up the pressure. But you look at it from this perspective, Eduardo Reed now on lap 55. Well, you know, we've got 30, well, on lap 54, he's just gone through the second sector. Doesn't look that great, 28.9. So I think we could be on the bubble here that Radice, is he going to go another lap longer, or is the Italian going to chance it in the pit lane? Because it's got to be a really, really quick stop. But with the fact that Reed and Byrne both had a 37 and a 36.5, you know, pit stop time respectively, you're looking at a sub 4-second tyre change. And Lux to the inside of Griffin Order in turn 1. Lux to the outside, heading into the fountain. He's going to get the undercut. Can he get through? And look who's joined the party. Sander Haugerod, the man from Norway, is now licking his lips. He's rubbing his hands with glee because he's got a titanic battle right in front of him. I mean, Valter Lux was so close as James Byrne gets through on Jacob Reed. I don't know how much life Eduardo Radice has got left in those medium compound tyres, but he is really, I think, pushing the limit. He's just done a 1:05. I think that is the Italian in the lead of the race is going to have to call it and come into pit lane, go and put on those soft Pirelli tyres and then go hunting. But you know what? With a 37-second pit stop time for the Italian, that would put him right out in front of Ali Gökmen in the number 12. He's currently running P4. As here we go, Valter Lux to the outside, on the start, finish straight, move completed.
I'm not entirely sure what Lawler was doing there, because I get trying to defend the inside line, but Lux is always going to have the overspeed with DRS, and well, that's why I'm in the booth and I'm not driving right now. As now Valter can try and get ahead of Lawler, and now it'll be Sander Haugerud on a little bit the same age tyres out there as well, as these two were battling. Everything was going on in the last 2 laps there for the drivers, because Radice had a 105 lap, and I couldn't work out where he lost the time, because that's a big time to lose. And that 35-second lead he had, well, it came down now to just 31 seconds. So I think he's on that little bit of an issue, because he's doing 101.9 at this moment. Give it 30 seconds and we'll see what Burns and Reed are going to do. And I do wonder if they're going to be able to do something. By the way, Walter Lux, he pitted lap 7. He just said his fastest lap of the race, by the way, 101.5 with 50 lap old soft tires. It's 34 Celsius out there, and he started with 39 Celsius, 41 Celsius even. Fantastic. And again, Reed struggling around the hairpin. And these times are 101.7, 101.8, 8.5. Oh, that's not good. Radice on the mediums is lapping almost identical to these cars, and he'll go on fresher soft tires. This has been a brilliant run by the leaders. Haugerud now will now start to battle on Jeffrey Lawler. These drivers don't have to worry about the tyre strategy. They have to worry about the tyre strategy at the front. What can Haugerud do to put the pressure on Lawler?
Well, I mean, the thing is that Eduardo Radice was only a couple of tenths through sector 2 slower than Jacob Reed. So the Italian is making these tyres last. I think it comes down to that earlier tyre conservation where he let Byrne and Reed just go and have their own battle. And it's decided, right, okay, let's look at the bigger picture. How can, on God's green earth, can I make these tyres last as long as humanly possible? And he's on lap 58. Got to, you know, and there he is. And he's still 30.6, 30.5 seconds ahead of James Byrne. So Eduardo Radice, as you rightly said, he is going to be on soft pressure tyres. And Radice out of the hairpin. He stays tight to the outside line. I will not be at all surprised if this man clocks 60 plus laps. He could probably make it even to maybe say the last 20 laps to go and decides, you know what? I know that James and Jacob are battling away. I'm going to let them have their little squabble, and I'm just going to have the racehorse blinkers on, concentrate on the task at hand, and even if he comes out, like say, 3 to 5 seconds behind Byrne and Reed, they'll have burnt through those soft tyres like nobody's business as Haugerod closes in on Lawler, and that battle is for P6 on the road. Valter Lux is now 1 3/4 seconds up the way. So yeah, I've got a feeling here. I'm gonna put my neck on the line here. I think, Craig, that Eduardo Radice will pit by at least probably lap 63 364, give or take.
Well, we'll wait and see. There is a gap in the traffic. I'm looking at a track map. There is a gap in the traffic if he wanted to pit right now. And that would be vital because he'd have that, yes, 5-6 seconds gap. He'd have to try and do it. Here's the key thing. He was faster last time by. Not this time, he just crossed the start line. Last time by, he was faster than Burns and Reed has been watching Haggerud continue to battle, trying to see if he can just apply some pressure on Lawler. And the way Lawler puts his car sometimes, I think the pressure is putting on there. I think he is really struggling. We saw how he had to defend against Volta Lutz, and well, I'm not saying he's the cork in the champagne bottle. However, there is some champagne to be drunk at the end of this race, and I wonder if Haggerud is also in entire conservation mode right now. Well, if he had a little bit of a slide on the throttle out of the cat turn like that, I don't think he will be saving tyres much as he loses a little bit of time out there. As I always keep my eyes on Eduardo Radiz. Well, he's now starting lap 61 of the race. Still on those medium tyres, just two drivers yet to pit. And of course, what a thing you expect is Eduardo Radiz on mediums as Haggerud will come by. The other driver yet to pit is that number 12 car in P4. This man, Ali Koshman, on softs. He's taken a set of softs, 61 laps. And when I was talking about that Alan King earlier doing 70 laps on softs, I can see it now, Alex. What has he got in those tyres that can make him last 60 laps?
Well, his last lap was a 1 minute 2.017. So, come on, Ali, just do what you can as Reed now closes in on Byrne into turn 1. Sebastian Hekov just behind him in the number 13 car. He's now 3 laps down off of Eduardo Radiz as we now start the fight, the last batch of race laps still to go. Eduardo Radiz is about to complete lap number 62, and he's still got a window of opportunity here. It's still about 31 seconds, more to the point towards the latter. But Radiz has just absolutely mastered the mediums around here. I mean, the funny thing is, the only other driver that is on medium compound tyres is the number 22, Francesco Musada, in 15th position as Haugerod not able to get through on Lawler, through into the fountain section, and you're just going to have to, I think Sanders just going to have to bite his tongue a little bit here and wait to see if there's a mistake coming. There's Jacob Reed once again on the back of James Byrne into turn 1, and that battle is now going to give advantage to Radiz. It's like 40 all, and you've got to get the advantage point, and I think Radiz has got that at the moment. He's just done a 25.25 middle sector and a 19.0. Eduardo Radiz has now hit the first number that I mentioned. I'm wondering how long he can stick this out, because if Byrne and Reed continue to battle and he gets the 38-second lead, he will make time to get in front of them, but he'll be on those cold, soft, compound tyres. Haugerod again, this time swings to the outside at turn 1 at Toyota. And Lawler still able to position the car where he needs to. I think Sanders got to be a little bit more passive-aggressive rather than trying to throw the Hail Mary at turn 1.
No, we want to see the Hail Mary, don't we? No, we want to see the drivers get home in one piece. And yeah, they are a lap down, but they're still battling. But you can see how the overspeed from the DRS comes so late on that straight, despite it's quite a long straight. I know Bridgestone is a curve. That's the way it works on Shoreline Drive. He can't help it. That gap continues to grow for Radiz. It's 31 seconds. I keep looking at a track map. There's no clear air for him if he was to pit right now. So he's going to have to wait once again for an opportunity. I think if he wanted to pit, well, I don't think he wants to pit. But if it was in my shoes, I would have been looking at, hey, pit now. Good opportunity to get out in clear air. You're not going to have a few more cars. And now Haggerud will go, that's a bit ambitious. That was a bit ambitious, but you can see he's trying. He knows that he is getting held up a little. He feels he's getting held up a little bit. And speaking of drivers, getting held up but not caring. not a care in the world as Jacob Reed goes purple. I know he's going to be getting some tire wear from the dirty air here, but this says to me he's waiting for the end. And, well, with Radice going all the way now, they have to accept that they're on these softs to the rest of the race. Otherwise, Radice is going to add another victory to his name.
Yeah, and Radice is carrying on again. He's on his way through out of the start-finish straight in towards turn 1 at Toyota. And Radice is just, oh my goodness, he's half a tenth slower than his fastest lap of the race. He's just at a 1 minute 1.115 and a low 16.9 in the opening sector. Radice is really going to go very, very deep into this race. And he is him and also Ali Gurkman, both on 65 lap. Well, Ali Gurkman's about to complete lap 65 on those soft Pirelli tyres. But Eduardo Radice, I think, has pulled an absolute blinder of a 3000 IQ strat on Byrne and Reed. And he's decided, well, if you guys are going to squabble, well, I'm going to keep these medium tyres bolted on until they fall off of the proverbial cliff here in California.
Yeah, well, there are cliffs in California. I don't avoid going to the cliffs of California, but you might want to hold these on. Another 101.1 for Radice, still looking on that rear of Lawler. And I do wonder what happens this time. And you're not going to see the wing open for Lawler. You might see just in the different distance that wing will open for Haggerud. And he'll start to close that gap. It was half a second. He gets closer, but he'll be a bit too far away this time to really try and put it. And now really the name of the game is, well, you've seen that Lawler has been making defensive moves, and can you try and force it like Jacob Reed out of nowhere? Makes the move, finally gets the hairpin sorted, gets that move stuck. And they are, I wouldn't say losing time, but it's optimal moments right now. 32.5 seconds is the gap between him and Radice. A pit stop cone to cone is about 36 seconds. You can do the maths, folks. You need about 40 seconds around here for a gap. I don't think Radice is going to get it. And again, I look at the track map. He hasn't gone into the pits this time, but if he wants to go into the pits, he'll have about 15 laps. Well, it actually shows on the top there. It's 17 laps to go. That's what it shows my maths is like. I feel Radice has to come in very soon because you need to use all those tires and needs to also find time right now. If he stays out right now, he's not going to find that time.
Yeah. James Byrne is the biggest loser as Sander Haugerod again to the outside at turn 1. He narrowly avoids the tyre barriers, does the Norwegian. Yeah, I mean, Eduardo Radice, a high 16.9 in the opening sector. Jacob Reed, 16.74. James Byrne, 17.62 in the opening sector. Radice, half a tenth slower than Reed in the middle sector. Yeah, I think you're right here, Craig. Eduardo Radice has got to make that decision. When does he pull the trigger and say, right, I've got to come in for those soft tyres? But one of the benefits that Eduardo Radice will have is that when he bolts those soft Pirellis on, when those tyres get up to temperature, the Italian, as we always know, is very quick on a set of soft Pirellis, and he could very much make it a three-way scrap and an exciting one, as we've got 16 to go, including this. And Radice, what a mammoth stint. And also Ali Gurkman, when is he going to decide to pit the number 12 car? Those tyres are scraped. He is into the barriers. The Norwegian's race is over. And I'm wondering who else he caught up in the meantime as well. We're going to have a look here. Haugerod. So he's going to get the run here. Goes to the outside of the inside of Lawler. And it's Kent Nielsen that's the one behind that gets the mechanical black flag. Haugerod, and bang, the other car's got nowhere to go.
And you had Burns and Reed coming up to that as well. And I wondered if they were getting caught. I think Haggerud was pushing a bit too much there. And I said the last time he tried to have the inside line, the door was never going to be open. And I hate to say it, the door was never open there for him. And that is unfortunate, but you can see the desperation. He wanted so badly to get past Lawler. And you could just see every time he was looking, trying to use that overspeed from the DRS to his advantage, how it does not help here. I'll tell you who that does help, Alec Gochman, because if he pits right now, Well, he might be in about 7th place. Can do what he needs. Burns, fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute flat, 0.663. I think Radice, cometh the hour, cometh the Italian. He's going to need to pit, and I think this has to be it now. There is a bit of a gap, but I don't know if he is going to do that because he needs to. No, he goes around again. He goes around again. Like there's 15 to go. Again, I'm not the 8K driver. I'm a 2K pleb. In all due fairness, I don't know what I'm talking about. These guys are the experts. But if I'm in that team right now, I'm probably thinking, what are we going for right now? We need to get going. We need this lead. We need a pit because I feel Burns. Again, look at the hairpin from Reed. It's slow. Burns might be looking to get an overtake here. Let's see what happens with that DRS. 3/10 at the gap. Wing will open up. Going to push on hard. And he's going to get alongside Jacob Reed. Jacob will just yield. And he knows that this might be the battle for the lead. Or it might be a battle for P2 if Radice gets his way.
Well, Radice's last lap, Craig, was 1 minute, 0.789. His fastest lap of the race on lap 70. I mean, yeah, I think you're right. When is Radice going to pull that trigger? Because it's going to put him way behind these drivers that are still battling over second and third. You know, it could be the fact that Radice's tyres might be at that critical stage because he's just done a 1 minute 1.5. I think if we see him drop into the 1 minute 3s or even nearer than that, maybe the high 1 minute 2s, then Eduardo Radice has just done a 17.0 in the opening sector, which is quicker than Reed in third and 7/10 slower than James Byrne in P2. So I think it could be in the next lap or two that Radice has got to bite the bullet. He's got to take the soft tyres. And then for the Italian, if he gets out, maybe say, let's put it this way, it's 32 seconds from first to third at the moment. A 36.5 second pit stop time will put him 4.5 seconds back off of P2. But if he gets those opening 2 or 3 laps in those soft tyres, getting them up to 10, then he will have the opportunity, because if he's behind them on track and there's no one between them, then Radice will be able to go hunting and he might close them down very, very quickly. But the time is going to be hemorrhaging now because he's got back marker traffic. This is not what Radice needed right now with 12 to go.
No, and if we look back to our Dolness chart when it comes to the tyres, his lefts look like sandpaper. Not a lot he can do. There they go. Look, you can see the difference right there. Nice gleam on the right, and the left is dull. And that's going to be providing a lot of strain through these corners. Look at the car fighting. We saw a couple wobbles already when he came out. Gap now, 30 seconds. Come on, Radice. This is the win. You're going to have to look at it. He continues on. I don't think he's looking for the win. I think he's just trying to solidify a podium here. And what, do I blame him? Do I actually blame him? I know we're talking about, come on, what about Ali? What about Ali Goshman? Still not pitting on 73 lap old soft tires. If I'm Radice, I'm looking at the fact that I have a healthy 16-point lead to Reed in the championship. And I'm happy enough to just accept another podium. If it's a P3, fine. Anything better, a result. For most drivers, we're probably looking to try and push home right now. Goshman's trying to just extend to see if he can get into a P5 right now. And, well, I'm looking. Goshman's not had a point all season. His best result, Nürburgring, an 11th place. This could be big for Ali. And, well, when we say about big as well, I can't remember the last time he even had a point. In fact, I look at it, he's never even had any point in the championship. So this could be big for him right now. Radice still goes on and on and on with 10 to go. That gap is closing. This says to me now, Alex, he just wants the P3.
Yeah, and to solidify his lead going into the next round of the series, which will head to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya for round 9. And then we got a real interesting quadruple header after the North American leg, where we got Barcelona, Red Bull Ring, Silverstone, and then Spa, and then all the usual suspects: Hungary, Zandvoort, Monza, Motorland Aragon is going to be an interesting one a little bit later on in the series. But Eduardo Radiz, I think he's just here at this point to prove a point of this is how you lengthen out the stint on a set of mediums, ladies and gentlemen. And Ali Gökman's doing exactly the same thing on the soft tyres. And again, Radiz with 9 to go. Come on, man. Decide when you're going to put it in the pit lane. Because what we want to see, I mean, the thing is that he's going to end up ahead of Ali Gökman. But more to the point, he's going to end up about 10 seconds behind Jacob Reed in P3. And James Byrne, you know, at the moment is looking pretty good for picking up, you know, after what has been a 3 rounds that the American would rather forget. A 10th place at Imola, a DNF at Miami, where Jacob Reed took the win, a DNS last time out at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And bearing in mind, Byrne won the 2nd round of the series back at Mugello after having a 9th place finish at Phillip Island. And you look that Byrne's had a 1st at Mugello, a 2nd at Suzuka, a 3rd at the Nürburgring, a 10th, a DNF, a non-stop. He wants to get back up ahead, and obviously with Sander Haugerod's retirement, that's going to score the Norwegian no points. So James Byrne is going to move up into 3rd in the series. I think maybe even Valter Lux, who's actually tied with James Byrne on points, might have a chance of closing in on the Norwegian.
We just had an interesting moment. I did find it quite interesting because Radiz just lapped Goshman. 2 drivers that have decided what's the pit lane have just seen each other on the track, and Goshman had a really bad hairpin and it did hold up Radiz. So I think Radiz is just in acceptance mode right now, and that means that this could be the de facto battle for the race lead. And now you start to think Jacob may be aware of that. Can Jacob just preserve these tires a little bit? As he had a bit of a slide as we're looking at Radiz going through. Is Radiz going to go into the pits? No. Goshman's going slow? No. Okay, boys. Questionable. Please pit. Please pit Jacob Reed. He had a bit of a slide coming out of turn 5. And that's the corner before to cap turn that we've been looking at all day. He had a small moment, almost actually lost the rear. I think we may get it in the picture-in-picture because, whoa! That's tight. That's tight. That's loose. And he is losing. He'll get the DRS definitely this time, but he just went outside the DRS window, and that activation point right around in the left, very crucial. He's struggling right now. This is big time.
I think he might need to check his underpants after that moment coming out of the hairpin there. In terms of Jacob, but still, he's not giving up. We always know that Jacob Reed and James Byrne, when you put those together here on the iRacing GP Tour, you know that there's going to be some great strategy calls between the 2 drivers and some moments from time to time. Because these guys are pushing 11 tenths. You can see Jacob Reed using as much of the curving as possible as we go down Seaside Way into Firestone, down 3 gears. And again, using as much curve as possible. But as we see here, James Byrne sweeps it to the outside of the hairpin. Jacob Reed, I think he's trying to use the final hairpin like the Source at Spa-Francorchamps.
Traffic's going to be big, though. And I wonder if this could be the nail in the hammer, or the hammer in the nail, or the nail in the coffin, or take a hammer, get a nail, get a piece of wood, put it where you want. And that's what Jacob Reed needs to do right now. He needs to stay with that nail, and he needs to make sure that the piece of wood, the gap, is not going to break, because James is the hammer right now. And it is hammer time. And I think they realize this is it now. 27 seconds is the gap between Burns and Radiz. And they know that now, whenever Radiz pits, well, if he somehow tries to find a way to do a 27-second stop, cone to cone, congratulations, you've probably just broken the speeding line. But who cares about that right now? Jacob is struggling struggling out there. That's a really weird thing to say. I mean, normally Jacob's the best man when it comes to tires. They're both getting held up by lap traffic as well. This is the danger point right now with 5 to go. That traffic was very treacherous. And still, by the way, Radice and Ghostman, yeah, they haven't pitted yet. Don't worry.
Yeah, I think the thing is that, okay, it hasn't cost much time, but it's cost Jacob Reed a whole lot of time going through into Toyota and now into the water fountain section. So Jacob Reed has got to get through very, very quickly, as we're nearly at half of the strength of field that we did have, which was just over 4,700 when we went green 79 laps ago. But still, Eduardo Radice and Ali Gushman, chapeau to both drivers for putting their strategies to the ultimate test. The track temperature has dropped significantly here, Craig. We're down to 32 degrees centigrade, so maybe that is what is helping Eduardo Radice and Ali Gushman. Let's have a listen to these lap times. 101.106 by the race leader, 101.932 by Gushman, and the last two laps by Byrne and Reed, 101.058, 101.195, and here comes Reed, looking to hunt down James Byrne. Reed, as you said earlier on, Craig, wants to get this North American monkey off of his back, and he hasn't got long to do it. We've got this and 3 to go, as again, Byrne scraping the wall with the left side sidewalls, and Reed at the minute, he just does not seem to have the pace in this latter stage. And who knows how hard these tyres have been overdriven, because if Ali Gushman can get a car onto 80 laps on a set of soft Pirellis, you could definitely think that Byrne and Reed have literally put it through the DEG cycle 3 times over the way they've been battling so far.
Well, I'm pretty sure the tyres say do not wash in hot water, do not tumble dry, air dry, hand wash. I think that's what they're looking at right now.
Do not put a hairdryer on it from 15 feet away.
Never heard that one, but I'll tell you what, right now, they'll be making sure that they don't need the temperatures. They've got enough temperatures in those tyres as they can. I wonder if Radice is going to final lap go into the pits to take those tyres off and just prove a point that you can do basically a whole race on this. He can't finish the race like this. He does have to pit. I do wonder, some people will probably go to the question, well, what if he did decide to pit? Would he have caught these drivers up? I'm not sure. But about, 30 laps ago, he was about 30 seconds in the lead, 32 seconds. The gap now 26 seconds. So I can't see that happening. Ghostman and Radice still yet to pit. This might be a game of chicken right now. Who blinks first? I'm not entirely sure. As Reed looks on, and I wonder if he's too far away again. Again, he just can't get it. You see the 4 green lights, sorry. That's not the start of the race. That's just saying that he's got DRS. He's getting over the late move. Late right at the last moment. Can he slow this car down? Gets it stuck in. Gets it slowed down. And with 2 to go, it's this to the facto lead for Jacob Reed. He's going to have to hold this as much as he can. Radice is just a few corners away from seeing the white flag. But he won't be seeing the white flag. He'll be seeing the white flag in the pit lane. Radice has to come into the pits, and he does. There he goes, and then crash! Reed's gone around! It's all too close at the end! They had to battle, and around tight there, on his own mistake, he's gone around, and that could be big. Where does Burns come right now compared to Radice? Radice is Radice is leaving. No, he's just got to his box. Sorry. Burns is going to come straight out there. This is going to be tight. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. White flag finally for Burns. It's over. It's absolutely over. Radice is just coming out the pit lane. And Burns will go. Reed, well, he's going to try and find this right now. Actually, this might be a blessing because Radice will have to warm these tyres. Got that spin has allowed Jacob Reed to Radice, to get ahead. And Reed now, with 1 lap, has to try and find 2 seconds with traffic. He's not going to get it either. Ghostman, by the way, will be in P6. You've got Lawler battling at the end with Lux. That's not going to come to anything. This is Reed. Too much there, and just probably aggressive on the throttle. Very rare mistake there by Jacob Reed. And he's starting to catch up now to Radice. James Burns, well, we knew this was going to be a tight battle between the three of them, and he's managed to hold on to it. What a crazy day in the office. That's why they call it the Monaco of iRacing. And James Burns will add that to his collection. Win number 2 for the season for Burns. He gets it. And at the end, Radice side by side with Reed. The deal will not come to fruition. That was close. Is there going to be a run? It's too late, too far. Radice just holds on, and then more carnage in the background.
Gershman and Matt Rensburg out of the hairpin of all places.
Wow, Rensburg, your nose. You have no nose. It is gone. It is gone, but he will come back there. I mean, that was Ghostman as well. He was battling hard at the end, trying to hold on to that. And yeah, it was Ghostman trying to get around the corner on cold mediums, and just delighted as a taps there from Rensburg. And I think Rensburg realized what was going on, and I think he let him by a little bit of respect there on the end. Musara will be the last man really to cross the line. But, well, I gotta say it right now, Alex. We said Radice would be lucky to get something better than P3. Well, it played in his favor right now as Burns will take the victory. Scoring is official. Well, it's unofficial in case there's any issues out there, but we can say that Burns takes the victory from Radice by 10 seconds in the end. Reed, well, what could have been after that spin? Self-inflicted spin will be inferred, and everybody finishes a lap down. Walter Lutz, great P4 today. Jeffrey Lawler with P5. Alec Ghostman takes soft tires, 81 laps, and then pits for mediums and almost got killed by George Van Rensburg, but he gives the position back in respect. Lyle Pinar will be in 7th. Maki Soaki will be in 9th. Sorry, Pinar in 8th. Sorry, Saki will be in 9th. Jim Marshall will be in 10th.
Germany's Sebastian Hekov rounds out 11th, head of Ray Griffione, with Francesco Masada, I think, was the last driver to effectively cross the line. We had a 50% pretty much nigh on attrition rate here at Long Beach. Sander Haugerod, after that big tank slapper into the wall off of Toyota, taking Kent Nielsen with him. Then we had Frankie Francisca rounding out 16th. Leopold Stenadas, after a great opening stint, the Swede would also find the barriers, as would Max Barnes, Lukasz Okomski, Matt Malone rounding out the top 20. And then the biggest moment earlier on in the race, with 79 laps still to go, Alex Haglund and Philip Kuhnhardt, two of the big protagonists here in the GP Tour, finding they were needing an early shower after this one.
Oh, a very. And interesting, Jacob Reed just said that he needed to take out FW in the stop. And he says that every year. He knew that he had to make some adjustments, and he forgot to make the adjustments, or maybe that cost it. I don't think that would have cost him at the end there. The rear went around. The front wasn't really playing much of an issue, but no issues out here, as we will once again thank the Grand Prix Tour, the F1 community, for bringing us back for, well, first season, really. Thank you very much for our first season. If you like it, we've got some more races to come in this championship, because Barcelona is coming next time. I can hear Freddie Mercury singing in the distance. Catalonia will be the home, same time in 7 days. That's going to be fantastic. But if you want a more fix of official racing on GSRC, well, it's week 12 for the championships. We've got Monza combined for the 49s tomorrow lunchtime. Do not miss that. One of the best combos on iRacing, classics on classics. Spa is the home for the finale of the IMSA Vinci Series later on that day. And then Zolder Alternate will be the finale for the Lotus 79s. And then, as I said, we do it all again in 7 days at Barcelona. Well, that could have been an interesting race. We talked about the strategies. We talked about the numbers. And I think we could also have a man that was very lucky. We were just about to finish and we were just about to get someone knocking on our door, and it's James Byrne. So I've got to say, James, that was a win that about 40 laps to go didn't look like it was on.
That sounds about right. I boxed first, and I guess I correctly predicted that Eduardo couldn't go all the way on the mediums, and I thought he might do that as the alternate. So I thought it was just better to box before Jacob. And I know I won the race, but I was probably wrong with that. I probably should have waited a little while longer. But yeah, I'm glad to get the win here today.
Yeah, tire deg wasn't really much of a factor out there today, but it was still meant that you and Jacob were having battles. The key point on the track between you two was the hairpin. I don't know what it was, but it just felt like you were getting a faster run through the hairpin to Jacob. And did you find that was basically your saving grace for most of the race?
Well, I would agree that overall that was probably the case, but there were certainly laps where I messed it up and Jacob took it well. So, like, yeah, there are laps that it did save me, but I think overall I was probably faster than Jacob, which in the end is what helped me because I was able to maintain track position towards the end, and he had to get a bit desperate. And I'll just say that his pass there on like the third final or second final lap completely caught me off guard. I should have been, thinking that he'll go into attack mode and just go all out, but it just didn't occur to me. I kind of lost track of time.
Well, time is a gypsy caravan, as Geddy Lee once sung, but more importantly for you, second win of the season, a DNF and a DNS for the last two races, and with Haggerud having a moment out there today, that's going to put you up there, and I think you'll be into that top three. As we head to Barcelona next week, knowing your third place in the championship and still on the heels of Reed and Radice, what's your game plan for next week?
To just try and replicate this week. Barcelona is a track I think I've always liked. I had second place here last year, and that was my first ever, close fight for the lead in this series. So I'm hoping I can follow it up with another win.
Well, maybe you'll be able to do that. Maybe joining the likes of Simon, Thielen, Reed, and Lundil, who'd get the victory at Barcelona. James, congratulations on the victory around the streets of Long Beach, and good luck for next week when we see you at Barcelona.
Thank you.
James Byrne there, who comes to the end of the broadcast. And like I said, I'll just quickly run through. We don't need to see the slides again. Thank you once again to the community for bringing us in. Thank you to Alex, to Christian, and to Dougie. 7 days' time, Barcelona. Join us for the weekend for some more action. But more importantly, join us in 7 days, because who knows what's going to happen. It's a 3-horse race as we hit to the halfway stage of the championship. And that always means anything's up for grabs. Cards are on the table. And maybe we'll wait to see what happens when they hit the river. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we will see you on the track.
This is iRacing.